Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, the podcast that celebrates comeback champions, lifelong athletes, and the transformative power of swimming. I'm your host, Kelly Pallas. Today, we're diving in with a guest who has truly lived outside the lanes, literally and figuratively. Becca Mann is a swimming phenom, a seven-time U.S. national team member, two-time national champion, and the first person to complete the epic 40-mile, 21-hour Maui Nui tri-channel crossing between three Hawaiian islands. She made her mark early by becoming the youngest swimmer to complete the 15K Maui Channel at just 10 years old, and the youngest athlete to place top 10 in 4 events at a single U.S. Olympic trials. But Becca's story doesn't stop at elite competition. After narrowly missing Olympic qualification 3 times, she took a bold step back from racing and into rediscovery. In that time, she wrote her powerful memoir, Outside the Lanes, sharing her honest journey through mental health challenges, the identity shift of leaving high-level sport, and what it means to redefine success on her own terms. And now, this is where it gets exciting for master swimmers. Becca is making her return to competitive swimming after a 5-year hiatus, a journey that included training with master swimmers. That's right, she found her groove again in the masters community, proving that her passion for swimming is truly lifelong. Becca is also a gifted writer with a BFA in screenwriting from USC and has worked on hit shows like The Morning Show and The Wilds. Whether she's penning novels, crushing open water feats, or diving back into the pool, Becca Mann embodies the spirit of resilience, reinvention, and yes, mojo. Welcome to Champions Mojo, Becca Mann.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, it's so great to see you. Like I said before we recorded, I'm a big fan. All my listeners know that I love distance swimming, and you're a prodigy from such a young age. And it's just so great that you have done all the things you've done and you still have so much more ahead in your swimming career. What I wanted to start off with, after competing at this high level and narrowly missing Olympic qualification multiple times, you took this 5-year break from racing. What did stepping back from competition teach you about yourself? And tell us about those 5 years and maybe if masters played a role in that.
Yes, so masters definitely played a role in that. But the first 2 years after I quote unquote retired, when I decided to take a break, I didn't touch water. Because I had spent my entire life from when I was probably younger than 5 years old, just in the water all the time. And I hadn't really experienced life without it. And I wanted to make sure I was going to be okay without it because I knew nothing else. I had never been a normal person. Normal, whatever the definition that society has of normal. Because I hadn't gone to high school. I'd gone to college, but I was swimming when I was in college and focusing more on swimming, and also was in this major that was taking up a lot of my time. So my social life had to take a back seat. So the first 2 years were really just me, honing my writing, figuring out who I was without swimming, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and just discovering a lot of new things, which was really fun. But after that 2-year mark, I remember I was working a job on a TV show that I felt like I had no power whatsoever. And I felt like I didn't have any control over my life. And in that moment, I also was starting to have this recurring dream about swimming where I was always swimming the 1500 and I was at Olympic trials. And I just really, every day I'd wake up and I would miss swimming. I was like, I wish that dream was real. I missed the 1500. And then I was like, why not swimming? Swimming is the way that I have control over. And also, I clearly want to be doing it if I'm dreaming about it every other night. So from there, I joined a master's team. It was the West Hollywood Aquatic Club, and we H2O, as they're called. And I just showed up, jumped into lane 1, made some friends, almost died that first practice. And then after practice, I got out of the pool and I was like, how did I not swim for 2 years? How did I not do that? Why haven't I been doing, this is what I love. This is who I am. Yeah, so definitely opened my eyes in a lot of ways.
That's so beautiful, and we hear that from so many people, many of the people that, that we interview. How did I not swim for 10 years? How did I not swim for 20 years?
Yeah.
So you're really lucky that it was only 2 years.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you were tired in a master's practice right out of the gate. Like, that's crazy.
I, like, remember thinking, I'm like, "I have to win this practice. I have to beat all of these men that I'm swimming with." And I didn't. I, like, almost died trying, but it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I need to get back in shape so I can win the practices." I'm just really competitive.
So did this 5 years I didn't say in the intro, and I'm not sure if everybody, unless they've read the book or yet, which I highly recommend and I loved. So you were homeschooled and your family moved around to accommodate you because you truly, I'm not using the word loosely. In fact, I don't think I've ever used it on the show before. You were truly a prodigy, this 10-year-old doing incredible feats and 12-year-old national age group records. And your family homeschooled you and went around to accommodate your swimming, both with finding the right coaches and the right meets. And then when you went to college, you're still in college. You're still in a very structured program. Were
Yeah.
those 5 years, did they feel like that was kind of like the freedom that you just hadn't had historically?
I wouldn't say it was freedom. It felt like I like having structure, and, so I struggled a little bit with not having the structure. I was like, "What do I d like, I get to pick when I wake up. I need to know when I'm waking up. I want someone to tell me that I have to do this at this time, so I know to wake up at this time." And, yeah, I really like I love adventure and spontaneity, but I also love when I'm home to have my routine. So I had to build
Yeah.
my routine myself, and that was hard, and, like, no one was holding my routine accountable, or me accountable for my routine, so that was, like, a little bit strange. And then in terms of freedom, I never felt like I didn't have freedom in my training because I was the one making all the decisions. I was the one who decided, "Okay, like, I'm not going to stay up past 10 PM because I care about swimming more than I care about anything else." There was never anyone telling me that I couldn't do that, and I think that because it was all from myself, I never felt like I wasn't free. But those 5 years for sure, like, I remember I made a list of all the things I wanted to do, and I just started checking them off. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go on a 5-day hiking trip with no service, and I'm gonna climb a 14er, and I'm gonna learn how to skateboard, and I'm gonna learn how to brew kombucha, and I'm gonna start going to concerts, and I'm gonna, see what the party scene is that everybody talks about." Like, I just wanted to do everything that I hadn't done, and it was really fun. It was very, very fun. I traveled a ton too. I just went on a bunch of solo trips with my backpack, and it was so much fun, and I, like, my perspective broadened. I learned a lot about, like, the world and myself and people, but at the same time, there was something that wasn't fully fulfilling about it because there was no goal in mind. Like, it was just, like, a period of growth, which I really needed. Like, I think that I did need those 2 years with not touching the water because I needed to, again, like, just make sure that I could thrive without swimming. And then, yeah, so just, like, seeing everything made me appreciate how fulfilling swimming is and how, like, having a goal and having something that you do every single day that brings you a little bit closer to the goal, really just, like, makes life feel purposeful and meaningful.
Yes, that's yeah, that's so true. That's one of the beauties of swimming. So I wanna come back to this fun travel year in conjunction with your mental health and how the mental health fit into those years where there was not a lot as much structure. But
Yeah.
I do want to say in going into this that in your book, which was beautiful, honest, raw, beautifully written, you're incredibly open about living with OCD. And
Yeah.
for listeners that may not understand what that really feels like, can you share like how OCD impacted your journey as an elite swimmer, as a creative artist, and how it manifested or didn't on this open 5-year period?
Yeah. My OCD, it's mostly obsessional for me. I don't have many outward compulsions, especially now. Now it's like mostly, the compulsions are me just thinking about a thought over and over and over again and trying to convince myself that there's something in there that either makes it true or untrue. So it's basically for me just intrusive thoughts that I can't stop thinking about. So, like, the most disturbing things that my brain can think about, and then something in my head won't let me let them go because I'm convinced that if I do, they'll either happen, won't happen, or they're just so disturbing that I can't stop thinking about them.
Right.
So yeah, it's not most fun thing to have, but I mean, I've been in therapy for a long time, so, and, like, in and out of therapy, and I've learned the tools to basically, how to cope with it and how to not allow it to have so much power, and I'm really happy with how far that I've come. I'm very proud of that, actually, because now, like, I've noticed that I usually, like, it's up and down, like, sometimes, like, I'll have no OCD, no intrusive thoughts for months or potentially, like, up to years, and then sometimes then I'll, like, suddenly go into a spiral where, like, I'll have several months where my OCD is just, like, spiraling. So, now whenever I do go into the spiral, I feel like I have the tools that I need to either make it shorter or not as powerful.
Yeah. I want to clarify because OCD is so overused. People will say to one another, if you make your bed every morning, oh, you have OCD, or if you
Right.
straighten out something, in the pool, like, oh, if you line up your equipment, you have OCD. And I think the thing that people don't realize as much is it is kind of the hallmark of it are scary thoughts, are
Right.
I would say obtrusive thoughts, thoughts
Yeah.
that maybe they're scary, maybe they're weird, maybe like, why am I
Or
thinking
both.
please or what?
Or both.
Yeah, like, why am I thinking this tree is gonna fall on me or whatever? When people don't understand that, I read the book, and if you haven't read the book, Outside the Lanes, I highly recommend it, and so it makes
Yeah.
you realize, like, we all are so neurodiverse that it just that made me feel like, "Okay, well, this is just I have intrusive thoughts." I remember the first time when I was 4 years old and I was afraid that I was gonna sleepwalk into the street and get killed. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't get that out of my mind, and so I would just lay.
I had similar things to that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this started when I was 4, and I think we have these tools now, we can recognize these, and what are some of your tools? What are some tools for you?
So whenever, like, it gets really bad and I start having a panic attack about my intrusive thoughts,
Right.
I've found that the best thing to do is intense cardio, like, right in that moment, because I
Okay.
have adrenaline and my brain usually it's not going to be able to focus on anything else. So, if I can work my body so hard that my brain just kind of shuts down and can only think about, like, focus on doing that doing that
Right.
exercise, then that will, like, be a great short-term solution for me. So that's one tool that I have. I've also found that just, like, regularly swimming is very
Yeah.
helpful. And then, like, in terms of how I, like, deal with it on, like, a regular basis when I'm, like, know that it's acting up, now I just really let them be, like, I let my thoughts be, and I let myself think them. I try not to react. I try to just let them be, and I also have gotten really good at, recognizing, "Okay, this isn't real. This is my OCD. This is not a real thought. This isn't true. This isn't going to happen." And that that's okay that I'm thinking this. It doesn't mean anything about, like, who I am as a person. It doesn't mean anything about the world. It doesn't mean anything about the future. It just is, and that's fine. And then I try to distract myself.
Yeah.
Writing
Yeah.
also really helps me. I found that, like, when I get lost in my writing, I'm generally, like, I'm very calm in that moment.
Have you heard the term sticky thoughts?
I think I have.
They found in research that people do who have OCD have sticky thoughts. And so
Yeah.
they've literally done tons of research that everyone has intrusive thoughts. Everyone has weird, scary, disturbing, intrusive thoughts. And like the thought if you're standing at the Grand Canyon and you go up to the edge and you're thinking, "Oh no, I might jump off of here." A person that has OCD will think about that thought for the rest of the day, maybe the rest of the week of
Yeah.
I really think that it's great that you brought this forward and talked about it honestly because I feel like sometimes high level swimmers and people that have these sticky thoughts, they also work with rumination in the opposite way, where
Yeah.
when you're like going after a record, I love the story where said you missed a national age group record in an 800 by 1/10 of a second or less than 1/10 of a second. And you
0.05.
and you were crying, but it's the same rumination. I know you did a written interview with Eni Jones, who I love. Eni's a friend of mine. And you said that you didn't get anything good out of your OCD. And I would push back on that and say the same ruminating, sticky thoughts that drive you crazy sometimes are the same ones that drive you high level, where it's sticking in your mind. You got to go, 853 or 850 or whatever. Do you agree with that?
I don't see, it's hard for me to, I also have autism and I hyperfixate on a lot of things. And I think that my hyperfixations are like the good side of OCD. Like it's the thing where I love something so much that I think about it all the time. So I found a way to really separate the two, where I'm like, OCD is like the intrusive bad thoughts, while like hyperfixations are like the ones that don't cause me any harm, but also I think about so much that I can achieve more, or I can like be hyper focused. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know where the line is.
Yeah. Well, so again, I love that you've opened up this topic of just mental health, and we're talking about a different mental health. We've talked about depression a lot. We've talked about anxiety and performance anxiety. And I love that somebody is talking about something new, which is OCD. What advice might you give to athletes who do feel different mentally, emotionally, neurologically, but still want to chase the big dreams?
I would say that it could be your superpower. Like if maybe you're a little like, if you're different from other people, that doesn't mean that you're worse. It doesn't mean that you are strange. It just means that you're different. And I think that neurodivergence, just being different in any way, is beautiful. And it's what makes the world so special. And just to recognize that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you are now that elite athlete on this new path, which I'm really excited to talk about. So you take this time off, you come back to master's practice. You now are definitely not in master's practice because you were training with Ashley Twitchell in
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh my
I'm in
gosh.
North Carolina right now.
Yeah. How did you ramp from master's practice to where you are now, what you're training for, and what some of these things are that you're shooting for?
Yes. Okay. So about 6 months after I started swimming masters, and I was swimming masters like 3 times a week, just for an hour, 15 minutes. It was great. I felt like that was all I needed. Then Ashley actually texted me and she's like, "Hey, Becca, do you want to like come out of retirement, move here, and come swim with me?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "I really need someone to train with. You should really think about this." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." I was in between jobs because in Hollywood, like the show only lasts for 6 months each season, and then you just hope that it doesn't get canceled, and then if it does, you look for your next thing. So I was like in this in between, and I think that this was October or November of 2022. I remember I was on a family vacation in Hawaii, and I was walking with my mom, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. I don't want to like make a comeback. That wouldn't be fun, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Well, I'm not really doing anything right now except writing, and like I kind of do miss structure, and I guess maybe like I could kind of think about it." So, anyways, I still told Ashley no, but I started training a little bit more, and started training actually with Team Santa Monica in my friend Ivan Puskovich, who was the open water Olympian in 2024. I just texted him, was like, "Hey, can I come swim with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." But again, like it wasn't super serious. I was skiing, I was writing, I was only doing singles, and I would take random days off in the week when like I was up late. So it wasn't super serious. And then I ended up in another writer's room, and that was taking up all of my time. But I think Ashley had texted me again and said something about like, "Hey, can you come train with me for this month? Because I need someone for this month." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Like I'll come stay with you and do that. Like, why not?" Because my writer's room was remote. So then I had to amp it up a little bit more because I had to keep up with her. So it's just like a small, like every time I just stepped it up just slightly more. And I was also still training with masters because I loved all my masters friends. So like I'd half train with Ivan, half masters. And then I showed up at Ashley's, and I had to go a 957,000 free if I wanted to qualify for open water nationals. And when I was there, Ashley was like, "Well, you may as well just qualify for open water nationals at the end of these 3 weeks." And I was like, "Okay." So I trained with her and had so much fun. I missed it. I was like, "This is the life. I love this." Ended up going a 10:03 in my 1,000. And then after that, I like came back 2 weeks later and tried again and then missed it again. And like those were the two most painful thousands of my life because I was not in good enough shape to like be going that fast. I like just basically was like, okay, I've won 1,000 that I have to like basically go all out for. And if I don't make it, then I don't make it. Like I'm just giving it my all. I'm leaving no stone unturned here. And yeah, so after that, I was kind of like, okay, like this was fun, but I'm done with this for now. I need to just go back to master swimming. I don't want to do the 1,000 again. I don't care this much. So then after that, I went back to master swimming, swam across Tahoe in 2023. I did like the Tahoe solo crossing, which was fun. But again, like I was like, okay, I'm good with just being a master swimmer. And also then I started traveling a lot because that was like right after, like during the writer's strike, I went on strike for a bit and then I like traveled a bit and was just, living my life, and swimming didn't need to be a focus in that moment. So I didn't let it become a focus. And then the big turning point for me was I started writing. There were two big turning points. And it was when I started writing Outside the Lanes, my swimming book. And as I was writing it, I was like, wow, I miss this. Like, I miss going to practice. I miss waking up early. This was so much fun. I was writing about like things that were traumatic for me in some ways, but also they were the most fun that I've ever had. And, the feeling after a hard practice when you've just done really well and worked yourself as hard as possible, there's no feeling quite like it. Just like the mixture of endorphins, adrenaline, like that feeling of pride, knowing that you're excellent at something. So I was writing this book and I was like, oh, I miss this excellence, but I still kind of was just like, whatever. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll just go, I'll swim a little bit more. I'll train a little bit more and do more channel crossings, do a master's meet or two. But then the big shift, the one where I was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore, was I was working the Olympics as a researcher in Connecticut at the NBC office. And I remember, so I was working the night shift. I would work from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. And I just remember like it was 5 a.m. one day and I was covering prelims. So I like had like the camera that isn't broadcast, but like just that NBC gets to see where like all their random camera angles. And I was just like watching all the swimmers. And I was like watching people warm up and I was watching them stretch. And then like I watched the ready room and watched the warm up pool. And I was like, I miss stretching. I'm warming up. I'm all of these things. And it was like the same feeling that I had as I was writing my book, only it was like more pronounced because I was like, the swimming's happening right now. And I'm right here in the middle of the night in this dark windowless room. And I want to be swimming right now. So I like spent like 3 days just like watching that and feeling that way. And then I texted Ashley actually and was like, I really think I want to make a comeback. And she's like, do it. Like, move here, do it. I was like, I don't know. And she's like, Becca, this is what you want. No one loves swimming as much as you do. Just do it. I was like, yes, like this is what I want to do. I don't care if I'm ever as good as I was before again. I just want to be doing it and dedicating all of my time to it. And yeah, then like a few months later, I moved out to North Carolina and have been training ever since.
What are you training for?
So I had open water nationals 2 months ago. And so to make the national team, you have to get top 6 of the Americans at open water nationals. And then you have to go a 1644, I believe, in the 1500. So I got 5th at open water nationals, which was my goal to get the top 6. And now I just have to go the 1644 in a meet, which I'm excited for. Like, I feel like I can get it. I have a meet in 3 weeks where I'll try for the first time. So I'm feeling really good about it. It's going to be here at TAC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, home meet.
Yeah, well,
June 15th.
I know that distance, especially distance, women do the best in their 30s, without a doubt. And so I'm just like, what pro swim series? Did you just see there was a 39-year-old woman in the final from, was it Colombia or Brazil?
Crystal Kobridge?
Yes.
She's been swimming forever. This was her 6th Olympics. Yeah. So I have a funny story. Once, it was at 2014 Pan Pacs. I was doing the 800 and the announcer thought that I was Crystal Cobridge the whole time. And I loved it because I was 16 and I think that she was like, she was in her 30s already at that point. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I've been such a big Crystal Cobridge fan ever since. Ever since I impersonated her that one time.
Well,
I think that it's ridiculous that we tell female athletes that they're going to peak when they're 18. They're
it's
not.
so ridiculous.
They're not. I think that there are two peaks. I do think that one of them is at 18, where like you have like your first peak at 18 because it's hard to know. Your body has changed and your recovery rate has changed. And it's hard to figure out how to adjust to that in your 20s. I feel like your 20s are just such a weird period in life in general. So I think that like the first peak is 18 and then the 20s is like figuring it out. And then like late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, that's the second peak. And that is the better peak than the 18-year-old one. That's my theory. That is not based in science.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a really exciting goal, and I'm going to be following that.
Thank you.
Super exciting. You're going to be faster than you ever were, period.
That's what I think. That's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah. So 1644 is easy.
Yeah. And whether or not it's true, I'm just going to seeing if I can do it. And just enjoy trying,
Well, I'm going to enjoy watching. So,
thank you.
In addition to being a swimmer and an author, you're also a screenwriter. How does your creative process as a writer compare maybe to your process as an athlete? Did you ever mirror those?
No, I don't think so, because with swimming, it's so structured. You know when you get in, your times, like somebody's coming up with your plan. While writing is very, like, a lot of thinking time goes into it. I find that most of my writing is done in my head. Like I'll be writing as I'm swimming. I'll be writing as I'm like walking. I'll be writing as I'm watching something. I'll be writing as someone's telling me an inspirational story. Like I just get inspired by the world around me. Like if I'm drafting something, then I'll try to write like 1,500 words every day. But if I'm in like the world building phase, then that doesn't have a timeline. That just kind of needs to happen on its own.
So when you're talking about your worlds, I know that you love writing about dystopian worlds.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about there? The dystopian?
Yes. So I have this book, Unruly, which I published the same time as Outside the Lanes. And that's a young adult dystopian, which is like very Hunger Games, Bridgerton-esque, also like Parent Trap a little bit. So that is, I think, my favorite thing that I've ever written. It's a twin swap in a dystopian world where when you're 17, so it's post-apocalyptic, the world has been destroyed and human population is down. So this country, in order to bring the population back up, when kids, like around when they're 17, 18, they get paired with someone to go procreate with. But based on how like well-behaved you are before that, you get more options of people to choose from. And then if you're not well-behaved, you just get assigned someone. So it's about these identical twins. One of them she's been the best behaved of anyone ever. She has all the options in the world. And that's because every time she messes up, she pretends to be her sister, who is about to be assigned someone. And it's about their relationship. And the one who has all these options has terrible anxiety and like pressure from society to the point where like she's just chasing perfection and doesn't like she doesn't know what else to do except to be perfect. So then like when it comes time for her to like step into her role, she panics and trades places with the other twin, who has decided to exile herself from this nation and go to this island where nobody really knows what happens. Just that it's bad.
I love that. That sounds fantastic. It needs to be a Hollywood movie.
I hope so one day.
So, the obvious question that I know everybody is at home screaming out, are you going to write a swimming screenplay?
I actually have a pilot. I have a pilot called Prodigy, actually, that it is my main sample, but I would love to shop that at some point. Once the time is right and the market is looking a little bit different.
Being a swimmer for 50 years, there's just never been a satisfying competitive swimming movie. Pride. That is about the PDR swim team with the first Black swimmers, and it's based on a true story.
I want to watch that.
It is.
I haven't heard of it.
Oh my gosh, it's a great swimming movie. It's called Pride.
Yeah. Oh, I guess they have Naiad.
I liked that. I liked it.
I did too.
I mean, how did you like it?
I did like it. Oh my goodness, I was watching it with my older sister, and every time Diana like said something like, "You guys are my like I am the chosen one is going to swim across the ocean, and you people, like, had one of those moments. Yes, well, her sister just turned to me. She's like, sounds familiar. Like,
Well, and
be quiet. Be quiet.
we just watched our whole women's master's group. We have a group of us have a book club, but we watched The Young Woman in the Sea. What did you think of that?
I haven't seen it yet.
Uh,
I
no.
need to watch it. I know.
Oh, you're
I've heard it's
kidding.
fantastic.
It's Walt
I know.
and oh my gosh, Becca, you need to treat yourself. And
I will. I've been on like a
yes.
book kick lately, so
Yeah,
that's
know.
been fading though. I'm starting to get back into like TV movies. So
Well, the second to last question before I ask the last question is, other than what you're trying to do with your 1500 to make the national team, what else is next for Becca Mann?
from a swimming perspective, I'll hopefully, like, assuming that I make the national team, I've noticed that in this time around, I like to do really small short-term goals where I'm like, all right, this is this 3-month period. So I'm hoping that the 3-month period after that will be a World Cup in Sardinia, and then maybe 2 Len Cups right before that, do a little Europe trip and get some 10K racing in. So that's on my agenda. Speaking of the English Channel, I would love to do an English Channel crossing like early June of next year and try to get that record, which I know it's a very, very fast record. I think it's like 6 hours, 20 minutes from 2006. So I would need everything to be going my way and be perfect. But I think that could be kind of fun to try.
Well, so is 2028 out as far as the Olympic?
No, definitely not. I just can't think that far ahead right now.
Right. But don't you have to, as a 10K, don't you have to do the circuit and get points to get into trials, or what are the
like doing something different? They haven't announced it yet, but I think it's going to be based on like your World Cup ranking.
Okay.
But I think that won't start until like 2026, whatever 2028 might hold.
Yeah, I think that's a really great plan right now.
Yeah.
All right. And the last question before we do a sprinter round, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share?
I don't think so. This has been such like an amazing interview. I've had so much fun.
Well, me too. Me too. It's always nice to meet my heroes. So, all right. So this is just to get to know you a little better. And we're looking for like 1-word answers here.
Okay.
Favorite sandwich?
Turkey.
What do you own that you should throw out?
I feel like my pots and pans, I need new ones. They're getting old.
Celebrity most like to meet?
I feel like Lady Gaga would be fun.
Hardest swimming event in the pool?
1500.
Favorite movie?
Wicked, part 1.
Nice. Favorite smell?
Oh, interesting. The ocean.
Oh, that's a good one. Do you make your bed in the morning?
No.
Kickboard?
I don't have that type of OCD.
There you go. There you go. Kickboard or no kickboard?
Kickboard.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pink Pony Club.
Window or aisle?
Aisle.
Describe your life in 5 words.
Do they have to be related or should be a sentence?
It can be anything you want.
Okay. Fulfilling, fun, exciting, evolving, and freeing.
Freeing. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. This last one is more of a spiritual question, not necessarily when the gun goes off. What word comes to mind when you're in the water?
Peace.
Yes. That's beautiful. I love that.
I had that one ready.
Yeah, that's really, really a great one. All right, Becca, this has been so wonderful. I know.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Kelly. I loved this interview. The best podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.